What's up, y'all? It's your boy G, San Francisco Bay Area, California. Aloha. So last video, I briefly touched on my job situation and how I went from making over 100K to 40K. So it wasn't like I was working a 100K job, but I was working 2 full-time jobs and managed to do the impossible, which is juggle both jobs without overlap. That is extremely hard to do, especially if you don't work from home. I eventually got burned out and gave up one of the jobs and just focused on the other that was less demanding and mentally easier, which gave me the opportunity to regroup and slightly change directions. I mentioned that I started working another job this year, and that job is city bus driver. Crazy, right? But a lot of people don't know that I have a lot of education. I have 3 degrees, an associate's in administration of justice, a bachelor in graphic design, and a master's in business administration. And to be honest, they didn't help at all. You see, it wasn't long ago, I had 2 thriving businesses I ran in 2 different states. I had to close them due to the pandemic and file for bankruptcy. But even before then, I'd done corporate work, medical, management, public safety, and during all of those, my education was really not a factor, meaning I could have landed any of those jobs without a degree. I often questioned the decision of even going to college, getting into massive debt, $70,000, all to acquire a degree, a piece of paper. It's nothing. People on average change careers about 7 times in their lifetime. Nowadays, you're encouraged to switch jobs after 3 to 4 years because your rate of pay and your professional development will plateau eventually. I did everything I was supposed to do, or at least what society had deemed the best opportunity for success, right? I graduated high school, I stayed out of trouble, went to college, didn't have any kids, went to church. Things never really panned out for me the way that I expected. Then you got, on the other hand, my brother, who is the exact opposite, right? He didn't finish high school, got his GED, had kids early, never went to church, but he eventually found a state job and stayed there for about 15 years and got promoted. It has afforded him a nice waterfront home, lots of land, nice cars, a 2-car garage, nice furniture, and he's gonna retire in about a few years. Craziest thing, man, he bought this riding lawnmower. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is white people stuff. That's how you know you made it. And I was like, wow, because let's just be honest, black folks, we don't own stuff like that. In order to own a riding lawnmower, you'd have to own lots of land because you wouldn't waste your money if you were renting a home, right? He said he was mowing the yard one day and he came across the biggest snake he's ever seen in his life, right? So he lives near a river, so of course he gets a lot of wildlife and critters on his property. If you see my previous video, you know how I feel about snakes. I don't really care too much for them. So I was like, I'm cool off that. I'm just gonna stick to condos and townhomes and stuff like that. So, but we go back and forth, man. And he says he's jealous of my lifestyle and I'm jealous of his, right? He's like, man, you got it good, man. You got no kids, you got no responsibilities. You can up and leave and do whatever you want, take vacations. And I'm like, yeah, but look at your life, man. You're stable. You got your kids, you got your home. It's a good life. So we have to go back and forth about stuff like that. But, grass is always greener. In 2018, I was convinced I was going to be a millionaire in 10 years by 2028. And I even created a little graphic that would explain to people my plan and for me to refer back to just in case I got off track. I'm going to share that with you guys right now. When I made this graphic, I made it in my office. I had my own office. That's crazy, right? My own office. I was salaried. I could take lunches whenever I wanted. It was a beautiful thing. But as you can see, things changed very quickly. Essentially, the plan was after I sold my home, put a chunk of money into my high yield savings, and then the rest to purchase a multi-family unit, a duplex or something like that in Kansas City, which would net me about 40K a year. Eventually, I would, rinse and repeat that every single year and then do the same thing in California, which has higher appreciation and higher property values. And then I eventually would reach $1 million. That was created in 2018 And then, as you know, COVID-19 came out in 2019, and that changed pretty much everything. So everything that happened to me was due to the decisions that I made in the past. The decisions that you make in the past will manifest into your current reality. And my current reality right now is bus driving. But honestly, I'd drop fries in a bag before I'd let somebody outwork me. Life has a way of humbling you, and this is exactly what I'm supposed to be, right? The lessons of life taught me, and it's still teaching me exactly what I'm supposed to learn. Lots of stuff can happen that can curtail your progress and stifle you in your life, so just be aware of that. So yeah, if you told me that I'd eventually be driving a city bus when I was 20 years of age at Iowa State University, I would be like, I know he's lying, I know. I watch a lot of finance videos and I see a lot of young YouTubers, mid-20s, they're doing very well in their careers. They're making finance videos, showing people how they budget, and I love that for them. That's awesome stuff. But what I would say to them, if they're listening, is I've come to the realization that the longer I drive buses, I'm going to hit something eventually, right? Because why? It's a big-ass bus. You're constantly turning, squeezing through tight spaces. People are crazy. The longer you stay out on the road, the probability becomes higher that I will eventually hit something. I can stay a bus driver for a couple more decades if I wanted to and just contend with that fact, or I could plan something else, right? I could maybe retire a little early or move up in the company, maybe switch positions to something in admin, be a mechanic, a technician, or something like that. I have options. You say, well, G, how does that apply to me? I'm not a bus driver. The longer that you experience this beautiful thing called life, the more financial catastrophes that you get exposed to. Life starts happening. You have kids, right? You get a divorce. You find out, she don't love you anymore. You have medical emergencies. You lose your home, the fire, medical. Out here in California, it's fire. Florida, it's floods, right? You'll lose your job one day. You'll get sued. The economy will tank. So many different things. If you're young, you may not have experienced a major financial catastrophe just yet. But when it happens, the question is, what are you going to do? How will you stop the bleeding? I encourage you to think about that today. I encourage you to devise a plan and file it away in your mental file cabinet, and hopefully you'll never have to use it. But have a plan. The best offense is defense, and it's not about what you earn, but it's about what you keep. And what you want to keep is your guards up at all times. Prepare for the crazy stuff that life throws at you, so you don't end up like me, a bus driver. Hey, Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and click like and subscribe to this channel. It's your boy G, San Francisco Bay Area, California. Y'all be blessed. I'll holla at you later. Aloha. If this video was of value to you, like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, it's your boy G. Be blessed. I'll holla at you later. Aloha.